is go back. What we're gonna do right here is go back. Go back, go back, go back, go back, go back, go back, way back.
Hey, welcome back to Kuma Style Reviews. This is TJ Duckett, here again, and what we have today is Max Factory's, their Max Gokin line, Dragonar 1. It's actually XD-01, as you can see here on the box, and let's go ahead and take a look at the box as a whole, like we normally do in the first section of every review. So, okay, you have an awesome drawing here of Dragonar 1, as well as, you know, a picture of the toy itself. Just take note, this isn't the actual animation model, like the SPC Dragonar 1 that I did, or the spec, the Tamashii Nation spec one. These are actually based on concept art, rather than the actual animation model itself. Alright, so there's the front of the box, top of the box, not too much to it, just XD01, Dragonar 1. Nice handle. I love boxes with handles and stuff like that. Kind of lets you know that you're getting some high-end stuff. Okay. Same on the bottom. Sides. I love the silhouette here. Same on the other side, but just more static pose. This actually looks just like the pose right here on the front. I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't the same cutout. Alright, and on the back here, we do have another picture of the toy itself in flight, holding the gun, as you can see, and then just different aspects of the characters, like all the different weapons and stuff. This is laid out very, very, very nicely. Not gonna lie. You get a really real overview of the toy itself, even like little functions, the fact that the wings can go downwards and things like that, just by looking at these pictures. It's just laid out very, very, very well. This is actually one of the best boxes I've ever seen. It's awesome. One thing that's kind of cool, already taken the toy out of the box, so that's no worry. But, like all Max Factory items, this does come with a pair of gloves. This is a Gokin figure. It's also a high-end one. The gloves, though, are just a little bit tiny. So, yeah, not so much, but it's a nice thought, and it's awesome. I was joking around with some of my friends, and I was basically like, you know a toy's high-end if it makes you, as a consumer, as the person who bought it already, feel like you're too dirty to even touch it. Like, seriously. So, that's cool, though, for those very, very, very OCD collectors, I guess. Not me. But, yeah, that's the box. Let's move on to the figure itself. Alright, and now we get to have some fun here and dig into the figure itself. We're just going to go ahead and go over what's in the box. What you see is kind of what you get. I like this figure a lot because of that. This figure, it does come fully assembled. It's not a model kit or anything like that, but there are some pieces that you can, add or remove and things like that. And this stand, just like other Max Factory Gokin figures, has a spot for pretty much all of it. Pretty much. Now, these here are two more horns for him. These are actually the hard ones. He came with the soft ones on. I prefer the soft ones. They all look exactly the same, but the soft ones, even though they look just as sharp, they're not going to break if, they get pressed or anything happens. Alright, so putting those in their baggie. Alright, and we're going to start putting these pieces on him as needed. Okay, so you've got his two discs here. They just pop out. We'll go over these more in the accessories. He comes with a gun. And this is a lot like Dragonar 1, the SPC version from Tamashii Nations. Alright, he does have his ammo clips. There are 4 of them here. They go on. In fact, let me raise this camera up some. I think that'll be better. Okay, so let's actually zoom in there. There we go. Alright, we were looking over his ammo clips there. Alright. The two versions of his sword. He has 2 swords here, and they can combine to form like a staff. Alright, so what I'm going to do, like I said, as I go over these, if they go on the figure, I'm actually just going to attach them. Just slide that in. And it's nice, everything just kind of pops out. It's stable, but, you know. Okay, went over his big rifle there. Alright, now going on to the other side here. There are two kind of air vent like flaps right here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead. We'll zoom out. We'll attach these to the figure too. And those come off when you have the big wing pack attached. Alright. His variety of hands here. He also comes with, you know, the two beams, whether you use the sword or each side. Now, he has two options with this shield. He can hold it in its hand because it does have a handle on there. You'll also see two knives underneath here. Pretty cool storage. But if you want, you can attach this piece here on the handle, and it actually clips into his arm. And we'll go over that a little bit more when we look at the accessories themselves. But we'll also go ahead, while we're here, and attach those ammo clips to his arm. It's just like the SPC Dragonar. Get that back. And I don't necessarily want to glue these in, but they do fall out at times, those horns. Alright. And the pegs in these are really specific, so when you're pegging these in, make sure that you're doing it correctly, or else they're gonna fall out. There's no ifs, ands, or buts to it. I don't know why his elbow pads come off, but they do. So, okay, going ahead and just getting the other side pegged in. And this is just so when I go over the figure itself, you are actually seeing him how he's supposed to look. Okay. Alright. Now we've looked over the accessories, or actually just what's in the box in general. Okay. And I almost forgot his wing pack here. Alright. He does come with his wing pack. We'll go over that more. You'll see the wings are down right now. We'll go over how to, you know, peg those up and stuff like that. Don't worry. They're not just a floppy mess or anything like that. But it actually works pretty cool. And I can't wait to get to the accessories part to dig into his weapons more. But okay. Here's an overview. Or there was an overview of what's in the box. Let's move on to the figure itself. Alright, and this is the cool part where we get to go over the figure itself. Alright, let's go ahead and knock out the height measurement here. Alright, give me 1 second, I actually have to look at these through the camera. Alright, so it looks like about 7.5 inches head to toe. Okay, so let's go ahead and compare that with the Tamashii Nations SPC. Okay, you can see there's quite a significant difference, but it's not like it's that much shorter. It's 5.5 inches this thing is. But when it comes to toys of these scales, you know, those extra inches, whereas on people, it doesn't look like that much. It's huge on these guys. But anyway, that's that part. So, just taking a look at that. And you can also see that this toy is quite a bit more detailed. Just top to bottom. It's almost like comparing a premium toy to a more retail toy. Now, that's not a knock on the Tamashii SPC at all, because I mean, for what it is and its size, I mean, tons of die casts, really posable, you know what I mean, that kind of thing. And yeah, I mean, you can't expect that kind of detailing out of a toy that much smaller, unless the price is really just jacked. But anyway, let's go ahead and get this one out of here. I just want to do a comparison. And I must say, on the plus side, for the Tamashii SPC, it scales to a lot more because Bandai Tamashii has lines like the SPC line, the Super Robot Gokin, that it scales perfectly with, whereas this one's, you know, obviously giant in comparison. So, alright, taking a look at the figure itself here, we'll just go ahead and give it a once over, head to toe, get some focus there. Alright, taking a look at the head here, so you can see the details. The one thing I don't like, admittedly, is the fact that unlike the SPC version, the under helmet is actually white. That little line right there going from the, I guess you'd say, like, nose to the tip of the helmet. After this review's done, I think that I'm just going to go ahead and paint mine black. I just think it looks a lot better. Alright, so keeping zoomed in there a bit. I just want you guys to be able to see the detailing, like I said, head to toe. And this thing is just beautiful. Beautiful. I am going to bring the Tamashii SPC in here for another moment, just because I wanted to point out one more difference. Alright? They both have kind of shorter upper bodies. That's just part of the character itself, or the concept art that they're based off of. But you'll notice this one, the leg proportions are a lot more slender than this one. I mean, these just look more stumpy, more thick. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but at the same time, this does make the Max Gokin version look more, I don't know how to describe it, but just more elegant than the other, you know? Rather than just generic drone, it gives it just that much more of an antagonistic kind of look. It makes you want to pose this thing, you know? Alright, so going ahead and taking a look front to back. Zoom out a little bit more here. Alright. And on the back part, these thrusters not posable like the SPC. Okay? But I do like that these come up and down in order to not interfere with, you know, leg articulation, knee bend, etc., etc. And there's that. Now looking at the posability here, the head is on a ball joint. The neck also tilts back and forth. So a lot of movement in the head there. The shoulders, they are posable, the shoulder armor, but they don't have like a full, you know, just track that they roll on or anything like that. Now under the shoulders are, of course, swingable. He does have bicep swivel. Definite double elbow joint. Okay. Now, articulated waist. Okay. Quite a range of movement there. Now the coolest part is that he actually has a ratcheting waist joint here. Even though there's not a ton of die cast in, you can tell it's more on the inside and the joints than anything else. I like the fact that he does have the ratchet in ab joint there, because it'll never go loose or anything like that. And it's nice and tight too. Alright, so we went down to the waist. He does have posability. His wrists are on ball joints. Okay. These do move and shift up and down. They actually peg in and out. And I like it because it avoids breakage. I'd rather have something fall off, almost like a race car when they crash, how they're made to just fall apart rather than crunching up and collisioning. So, peg those back in. Like I said, if you don't have those pegged in just right, then you can see they fall out. Alright, so looking at the hips here. Alright, this armor's kind of thick, so there is some blockage. Decent range of motion there, but not great in the back and forth. They obviously can go in and out, so good range of motion that way. Nice and tight, ball jointed hips. Okay. Now the knees. Oh, thigh swivel. Okay, knees. There are two joints. You can see the slide up there, as well as the bend. Very cool. All right. Nothing below that. He does have articulated feet. The front does move independently, making sure that you guys can see that. Okay. But the farthest it can go up is just straight. I wish it could go up a little bit more, so you know, when you have his foot back, it could actually, the front could at least sit back. His ankles are ball jointed, but because of the armor there, it does block the range of motion a bit there. But let's go ahead, get him into a cool pose. So there you go. Definitely cool stuff. I enjoy this character and its posability quite a bit. I do wish that there was more range in there. And I also wish that his ankles, because they're die cast, so they're not able to just be popped out or anything like that. I haven't figured out how to unscrew it to add some glue and tighten that up. But I wish they made that a little bit more accessible, you know, because joints, die cast or not, they do wear over time, and it's nice to be able to get to them to, you know, do some maintenance things. But yeah, as you can see, he's definitely a plenty posable one. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at his accessories. Alright, so taking a look at his accessories here. We'll look at the wing pack in a little bit, but we already went over what's in the box, so I'll just show you guys some of these and how they work. Alright, his hands just pop on and off with these ball joints here. This first hand is really cool. This one's for his gun. Alright, you actually put the gun on by taking his thumb off. It actually pegs in and out so that you don't have to at all fit the gun in. Okay, and then you just peg it right back in. I'm sorry, these lights are in my eye, so I'm trying to be careful here, but they're a little bright, so it's hard to see. So I'm going to get that out of my face. This is an example where something really easy takes a million years trying to do it in front of a camera. It happens. So, alright. Got that peg back in, and okay. And all we're doing, and you can still see this from there, is popping that one out and popping that one back in. And it should be noted, I have his two hold fist, like literally holes in the fist. I had those on in advance. Okay, so there's the gun. It does, you see that just keeps popping out. I don't know if the hard ones are any better, but those are kind of annoying. But it does have the handle there, which you can move in and out like so. I actually prefer to just do it this way, because its joints are really tight, so it's actually easier to have both hands attached and then just, you know, like that. Alright. Okay. So there's his gun. Actually give him some stability there. But yeah, I like that he poses very naturally. It's made to fit in his hands and let him hold it, you know, as if you were actually holding a two-handed assault rifle. So there's that. Okay, that's enough of the gun there. Alright, so we'll keep his hold hand in. Just take the whole hand out. Alright, so alright, I think the two swords are pretty self-explanatory. You know, you pop them right out, pop the blades on, but there's also the staff. So I might as well show you that one. This actually pops out so you can slide it right in the hole. I love that they make this so that you literally don't have to warp your hands at all. Okay. And we'll just pop these two blades out. Alright. And there's that part. We'll actually and show you the length. You can see it's quite long when it's staffed out like that. Alright. So there's that part. Now let's take a look at his shield. The shield's pretty nifty. I like that these are, you know, made pretty hand specific. He's definitely a right-handed character. That gun hand is only for the right hand, and the shield is made to go on the left side. So we're just going to take those ammo packs out. There's a little panel that pops off there. So I'm just going to take my finger, pop that out. And you have two methods of doing the shield. You could have him just, you see this handle here? You have him just hold the handle, which is fine. But I actually prefer the other route. There's this piece, which was on the stand. It just pegs in right here. Okay? And then it has a hole in it, so you could slide that handle through it. Okay? And now he's got a shield. It's not down low. More of a, I think, a natural position or a more realistic position for the shield. And plus, his hand's still free to hold a weapon if you want. Now, he does have two discs. They go in each hand. And like the SPC Dragonar one, they just clip in to this part up here. Alright? And they did include one for each side, so that you could see that as well. Okay? Alright, great. Now we'll go ahead and take a look at his wing pack. And I'll actually keep these parts on. Alright, now, you do have to do some disassembling here. You just pop these two hinges off. Alright. And then there's this piece here in the middle. Zoom in there. Alright. It looks very natural, but this part in the middle does pop off. It's not at an angle, so it's kind of hard for me to get off because you have to take it very straightly off. And just like I mess up a lot of things on the camera, that time was actually my best time pulling that out, period, in front of the camera. So that's bizarro. Alright, and once again. Okay. So, there's a swap part that I showed you on the stand. And they make it really easy. There's one big one small one, and it just pegs in like so. Okay? Now, we gotta take a look at the wing pack itself. Alright? So, this is it. And there's actually a pivot. You can squeeze it in and out. Okay? Now, let me zoom in here so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay. There are two tabs right here, and they actually tab in the holes on his shoulders. So I'm going to use that pivot to pull this in. You peg those onto his shoulders, and then you just let it go. And boom. Now he has his wing pack. Okay? We'll just let everything hang down so you guys can see how it looks while things are hanging. Alright, and this is an accessory since it does have the downwing mode. You can leave on him the whole time if you want. He balances just fine. Okay. From the other side, just kind of cumbersome if you're trying to display him with other figures, but outside of that, I don't see why not. Makes him look kind of armored up. Alright, so there's that. Now, let's go ahead and first I'm going to put him on his flight stand. And then we'll get his wings up. Alright, so I'll get him out of the way for a second. Oh, man. Make sure he's standing up. Okay. Alright, so this, it's not ratcheting. This is made to stay in one position, but you can choose a position. There's a little tab on the end that comes out like so, and you can just take it and you can angle this however you want. We're just going to leave it straight up, but let me find that tab. And I actually prefer that because it's a true lock into place. You don't have to worry about the weight of the character or anything like that. There are tabs on here, and this crotch actually just slides into there. I couldn't even see it, but you know, you can just wiggle it around and it's a natural feel. The pegs are big enough to where once you kind of get into that area, it'll start to slide in. Alright, so getting his chest plates back on, or his skirts back on. Alright, so there's that. Now, this is cool. I'm already going to get his legs into position here. But I love the way that his backpack works. Alright, so here's how that works. These, actually, you tilt them up, and then you slide them in. And they actually lock into place. Okay? Same for the bottom. You slide it up a bit, and then it actually locks into place. So I'll go ahead and do the other side now. Slide it in, lock into place. These wings aren't the most thick though, so you know, be careful. And you can tell. I love that they make it so you can definitely tell when everything's locked into place. See that? And we'll put his thrusters up. Just awesome. Okay? And now, turning him around, you can see how he looks with his wing pads up. So definitely the good stuff. Alright, so zoom in on that a bit. And it really does give him a whole nother look. I like that on this one they did include the launch missiles and things like that, rather than the optional chests and stuff like that. This is more the custom version than the one from Open and Silhouette. So, well, I guess it's kind of a hybrid between Open and Silhouette and the custom. You'd kind of have to know Dragonar to know that, so disregard if it sounds like gibberish. But anyway, there are his accessories. His accessories are awesome. And yeah, that's that. Let's go ahead and go on to my final thoughts about this figure. Alright, so looking at my final thoughts of the Max Factory, Max Gokin, Dragonar 1. This is an incredible piece. Immaculately detailed, perfect paint job, which I was scared of because I read some reviews before I got this, and they said the paint job was shoddy on some of them. Others said it was perfect, so I'm like, what am I going to get? So apparently, I don't know if it was a manufacturing issue worldwide, if there were just a couple bad ones out of the group, but mine are absolutely perfect. It is a Gokin figure. It does have die cast in it, but it's more internal than external. The armor, like white and stuff like that, definitely is not. But I like it because it has die cast, so it has some weightiness to it. You can definitely tell it's in there, even especially with the joints, moving those around. But it doesn't feel like it just has die cast in there for the sake of having die cast, and that always sucks. For me personally, you know, my preferred area of die cast is more in the hip down to the feet area to give it some stability and balance in terms of, you know, different leg poses, one leg up, and things like that. It just makes it a lot easier. But just having a heavy, clunky figure for the sake of it, not really my thing. And this figure is like the perfect balance between, you know, Gokin and beauty. You know, beauty, playability, accessibility. It's very good. Now, this toy, I got it for just under $150 shipped, which is great, well worth it. I would pay this again to get a second one, just to have maybe one posed without the wings, one posed with. So when I find another one, I'm buying another one. But the thing retailed at $300. Do I think it's worth that? No. That's more of a price that you would pay I would still call this a premium figure because the thing's goddamn immaculate. But it's one of those things where if it was completely die cast and whatnot, yeah, I'd understand like $300. But at the same time, it's a mostly plastic figure. Doesn't come with like just a shit ton of accessories and things like that. No, I would not pay $300 for this figure. I would not recommend anybody paying $300 for this figure. But it seems like the secondhand market is pretty stable with it, and no matter where you look, it keeps it around the $150 range. Unless it's somewhere like eBay, then of course, because of fees, they have to list it a bit higher. But Mandarake, I don't know where you look for your Japanese figures, but just don't pay above $150 for this. I would not recommend it at all. But if you find it in that area, yeah, it's a must get. I do like the larger size. I like that it scales with the other Max Gokin figures, which I do collect. But at the same time, I don't like that it doesn't scale with any other line. And unfortunately, there was the Max Gokin Genetic Galgagar. Since it was the final version and was portrayed as just this huge monster beast, it scales very well with the Super Robot Chigokins, but this one is just way too giant for any other toy line. So that kind of stinks, but at the same time, this is something that I would tell anybody, just display it by itself. It's a lot more awesome than any Super Robot Chigokin toy you're ever going to see. I mean, this is a premium Gokin or Chigokin figure, I think Max Factory in general has set a tone and a standard that's above the rest, They're not metal just to be metal. These are actual collectible, if you put this in one pose and just displayed it like a statue, pretended like it was a statue, it would work because it looks that good. It's engineered and articulated and detailed that well. It's just, they hold themselves to a higher standard and make toys to that standard. But yeah, $150, I would definitely recommend it. Don't pay $1 more. This has been Max Factory's Max Gokin line, Dragonar 1. This is TJ Duckett. Thank you for watching. See you next review.